Hello and welcome to another episode of Lens of Hopefulness with me, your host, John Pasadino. In this episode, I interviewed Jay Setchell. Jay is the author of the book, The Strength Within You, and what a story he has to tell. A Marine Corps veteran who physically died 3 times, not once, not twice, but 3 times. What an amazing, miraculous story. Jay and I hit the ground running. And we jumped right into our conversation before I even had a chance to introduce the show. And we talked so much that I had to edit the show down to an hour. But someday I'll release the bootleg recording of the entirety. I could have talked to Jay for hours because he was so entertaining and so forthcoming. And I felt a kinship with him in so many ways. I couldn't relate to his service as a veteran because I was not a veteran, but I related to his down-to-earth talk of resilience and how we can overcome adversity, and I truly appreciate it, and I know you'll enjoy it. Now, one favor before you start listening is please subscribe so you can get access to additional episodes. I would truly appreciate it, and thank you for joining Lens of Hopefulness.
Analyzing life.
Considering the answers.
Lens of Hopefulness with John Pasadino.
With guest.
Author Jay Setchell.
You know, I mean, I'm 76, but I mean, I was very responsible from the age of 5 on. You know, and I stepping on nails, and I should have been ground up in a feeding auger accident when I was 17, just turned 17, you know, go into the Marine Corps. I mean, so it relates a lot to a lot of that because a lot happened in my teens, you know, and younger age. So, but what can I say? I mean, you know, the whole basis of the book, I've been told for years, John, I need to write a book. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad I didn't because I would have missed a lot. But a gentleman that was here 2 years ago finally convinced me, but he had somebody that would help put it together. So I dictated it over a year because there's stuff in there that makes me cry. I mean, I wanted to forget. I tried forgetting it for 55 years. So I had to re-dig it. I didn't want to dig it into a lot of detail, you know, but there's a lot in there, but the thing was that it's not so much, and I say this in my little thing that I kind of send out, and I didn't do it on AI. I don't use AI for anything, but you know, it talks about some of my medical issues, but it's more about, it's not the obstacle, it's what you do with the obstacle. It's get past the obstacle, get through it, go, you know, and what do you do? And all of that stuff builds resilience, and it builds character, it builds, and you learn from it. I've earned the right to be able to say what I say, and if somebody doesn't like it.
You certainly did earn it, and I want to show the book here, The Strength Within You.
Did you read it, John?
Yes, I read it, and you talk about crying, and I was tearing up during it. I mean, your descriptions of the pain you went through, and just so everybody knows, since we're rolling along here with our podcast, might as well just keep rolling with this, is that you've had multiple accidents, and I don't mean to laugh, it's just like so uncanny that you had so many critical accidents, and 3 actually left you for dead, which is astonishing what you went through. And they literally have pieced you back together multiple times.
Yes, sir.
And when you read that, I mean, I'm reading this, I'm shaking my head like this is almost, it's surreal that this can happen to anybody. And your descriptions of being like, right at the beginning, you were talking about the accident in the pool. And you said, I felt myself pulled down a long, endless vortex as if I was inside a tornado. No bright light, no voices, just nothing. It felt as if I was moving faster and faster and had no idea where I was going. I was just gone. that description is very different than a lot of other descriptions that people get with near-death experiences. You have other descriptions too, which we'll get to later, but that I felt was really unique. That you saw nothing, and it could be because, just so everybody knows, that this is the one where you went into the pool and you broke some vertebrae.
Yeah, I broke four vertebrae.
And that was the third time that you died.
Yes, sir.
There were two before that, and this one that so it's not just you broke your neck, but you were drowning in the bottom of the pool, and you were saying that people thought that you were joking around. That there goes the Marine. He's playing around again, holding his breath.
Yep.
And they physically dragged you out and got you to the hospital. And as you were saying along in the book too, these accidents were linked together. There were 2 car accidents also that were critical, and I think all the times you got hurt, and even your latest operations, you were saying that this, like the pool accident, might have influenced some of the things that you're going through today, and then the car accident.
Well, it definitely influenced what I'm going through today. But I believe, over the years, through a lot of my spinal cord surgeries and back surgeries, neck surgeries, and so on, they really relate some of it back to what happened in the Marine Corps. Because when my face got buried in that steering wheel, and they had to dig it out like a pumpkin that gets smashed in a wagon wheel, they had to dig it out. My head was crushed in on the left side, deep, and burned. And how, you hear people that have whiplash from a small accident. Can you imagine a car going from 17 feet 4 inches to under 10 feet and then being on fire? And so they thought later on that probably my neck got weakened or could have been cracked in some place, and my back definitely got injured. But the first thing they did was, of course, put me in traction for over 8.5 months.
Yeah.
And that laying on my back. I've had 15 back surgeries.
Well, now this first accident, just to get people's perspective, so you were taking another Marine, a friend, to because he had an accident. You were taking him to get medical assistance, and there was a truck that nobody could see because it was pitch dark and the lights weren't on, and your car rammed right into the back of that truck, and you became one with that truck. Yeah. It was the front part of the truck where the drivers are, so that would have been the heaviest part. And then, he was on my team, my criminal intelligence team, and I just happened by his house. But his wife was with us, and he'd only been married 6 months when it happened. 4 months was she there, and I had her hold her arm around his head, and put a pressure compress where I thought he was bleeding the most because he was going to bleed out. He'd have died. So you were looking to save his life, and then what ended up happening was all 3 of you ended up in this horrific accident.
Yes.
And I know that his wife eventually passed away, I saw in the book.
Yes, sir.
After a long coma. Now, how is your friend doing?
He died of a heart attack last June.
Last June. Oh, sorry to hear that. But he did live all those years.
He wasn't torn up as bad, but he had burns over about 60% of his body, and he went through enough rehab with his skin grafts and stuff. They let him stay in the Marine Corps till he hit 10 years, and then when he got out, he worked at an army base or something as a civilian contractor till he retired.
And no, by the way, folks, this is 1968, 69, that area.
It was 69, 70.
69, 70. So I was 10 or 11 years old back then, by the way. So you were right in that era of the heart of the Vietnam War when it was just ramping up.
Right. We were, 67. I enlisted in 67. But, a lot of people don't realize that in 67, end of 67, 68, 69, it may be first month or two of 70, we were sending 350 to 500 bodies home every week. Dead bodies, not injured bodies, not blown apart bodies, not, and there's 58,700 and some names on the wall, and a lot of people forget we've had probably twice that many die from Agent Orange. And nobody talks about that.
Now, that was the chemical that they were dumping in the jungles to
Yes, defoliate.
Yeah.
It took all the, yeah.
It took the foliage away so that you could see
Right.
the Viet Cong, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And that was killing our own people because it was
Killed our own
poison.
people, and it left them really messed up too. There's families over there that the kids are still, the grandkids or the great grandchildren are born with 3 legs or 3 arms or 10 fingers or 1 eye
Oh my God! It's awful.
I've heard all sorts of horror stories, and we've built homes for people that were Vietnamese, and they've talked about it and said it's still bad.
It's still bad today. That's a forever chemical.
It's a
Obviously,
forever chemical.
That's a term used today because chemical companies have been dumping stuff forever, and they always will. They'll get away with it and keep doing it because it's about the profits. But I'm sorry.
It's all about I was going to say, follow the money.
It's follow the money, yeah, which is very sad. I mean, my father died from asbestos poisoning, and he actually worked in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. I knew your parents were Depression era. My father worked in the Brooklyn Navy Yard at 15, 16 years old on the ships that were there, and the fibers were in the air, and they knew about it, and these kids were breathing in these fibers, and 40 years later, he came down with mesothelioma, cancer, from that. But they were wrapping the ship pipes with the asbestos at the time, and they, I guess the excuse was they just have to get the ships ready and get them out, whatever.
Well, I don't think technology's come a long way. I mean, that's it's like you go from asbestos to fiberglass to foam to
True.
And so it's what they had at the time.
Yes, it's what they had. I mean, there are companies that, going way back, I did some studies on it, but they actually knew of the, even back then, that it was harming people, but they kind of hid, just like with cigarettes, they hid the dangers of it.
Well, look at the food. Look at the food that we've got in America. Fruit Loops are all colored artificially, but yet we sell them in Canada and we sell them in Europe, or the Kellogg's does, or whoever's making them, and they're all colored by lemon, cherry, grape. They're colored. They're colored by, and we could do it here, but there's more profit. So they just decide, hey, we're expendable.
Yep. No, that's it. And there's another example I thought of just now. There were this happens quite often, where I think it was I want to be careful. It was a minivan where kids were falling out the back door. It was opening up, and it was reported, and the company said, well, a few happened. Let's just wait it out and see, And because the lawsuits, it would be cost too much for us to redo all the vans. So we'll just absorb the few lawsuits that come in. And that it's like collateral damage.
Well, if you remember the Pinto.
Yes,
the Pinto
that blew up. Yeah.
Okay. When, not always, but when it would, on occasion. And so Ford Motor Company, and there's a book on it. It's a story and it's very accurate. But they decided that if they brought all the Pintos back, because it was a big selling car, but if they brought them all back in and it would have cost them, well, their stock would go down, and the profits would cost them billions. Okay, so they thought, well, how much is it if we just go ahead and quit building it and let them sue us? Okay, it'll cost us $200 million. Well, $200 million, our stock will go down that much in the first day, and we don't have to repair them. So we'll just quit building them and settle on the lawsuit, and that's final.
Yeah, and a lot of times what they would do is, a lot of times these companies, I know with the asbestos companies, they would keep delaying the trials, knowing that the victims would die, and the family may not follow up. So just keep stringing them out, and then they're dead. Okay, they don't care anymore about the money. They're dead, so we'll move on now. Oh well,
no,
it's sad, but getting back. So that was the first accident. And then you had another major car accident with somebody that was, I think, sideswiped you.
Drunk driver, yeah.
Drunk driver.
He got thrown out of his pickup truck, no seatbelt on, get run over by his own truck and killed. and I had my seatbelt on and rolled several times down into a deep ditch, and I remember the screeching and the hit and the sound of the rolling, and to this day I remember first coming to with my glass in my mouth, and I looked down, like, I can't, my neck's fused now, I can't look too good, but I looked down and my shoulder was all ripped out, and I had busted ribs again, and all that other stuff, and it's that I was bleeding out, but it was,
And this one, they thought at one point they were losing you also, and they had to do a tracheotomy. I think, was this the one?
No, that was in the first one.
That was the first accident. I remember you described
Yep.
The descriptions in this book are like phenomenal. I mean, I'm talking about, you could just feel it. Of course, with nothing like what you were feeling, but you could just,
I didn't feel any of it, so
okay.
I've been asked that too. I don't remember any pain from any of the accidents.
Oh, the accidents itself. Yes,
Yep.
yes.
I
Because
don't
you were
remember
probably,
anything.
your body was shut off. It was shut down. And
Well, God, I think God gives it to you. It's just takes it out of your head.
there was one place, though, where you said something about pain, though. Oh, this might have been a different operation. This was one where I think you were paralyzed. And you said, the pain scale doctors love to talk about 1 to 10. I got news for you. When you're truly at a 10, you're begging Jesus to take you right then and there. And that's exactly where I was, flat on my back, staring at a crucifix on the wall, praying to either die or pass out. Oh, this is the one where the blood was backing up into one of your IV lines, and then the nurse pulled it out.
I can envision that exactly as you're saying that. I can see that to this day. Yep, 100%.
Now we're mixing some of these together, but they all have a common thread to them, that you had to overcome these horrific injuries. And what gave you the grit, do you think? Where did it come from to go through these, where you determined to walk? There was another place you were describing, I'm walking at some point.
John, I just, obviously I get asked that, and I think about that a lot. I mean, over the years, and I just think it comes back from my childhood. I think it comes back from being a kid, and I remember stepping on a nail. Well, I stepped on nails 3 or 4 times, and I remember one nail in particular. I was about 7 maybe, and it was about a 2-foot long 2x4, and had a ring shank nail sticking up, and went up through the base of my boot. It was in the wintertime, and the snow wasn't very deep, maybe a couple inches, but how or why, I stepped on it. But the nail went up through my boot, through my shoe, through my foot, out my shoe, out the top of my boot. And my grandfather put his feet on both sides of the 2x4, and then he told me to bend down and hold on to his shoulders, and which I did. And then he put his hands behind my knee, and he said, "Okay, on 3, I'm going to pull your foot up off of it." And of course, I'm kind of scared about this, and it's hurting like hell. And he said 1, 2, and he yanked it, stripped it right up. So
this helped you build resilience from the beginning.
I think that all of the stuff, even when I was 5 years old, going down into the basement and putting powdered milk into a 10-quart bucket, and putting warm water with it and beating it up and taking it out to the calves, and nipple pails to feed the calves. Okay, when you drag that through the snow, or you drag it through the tall grass in the summer, it's one or the other. You're in New York, you know what I'm talking about. You can, Northern Illinois, we got 25, 30 below zero too, but it's all that effort, it's all that commitment, it's all that responsibility, it's that sense of urgency. And so, it was like I had to pull weeds, I had to do this, it didn't matter what, and I didn't, but it just built up a strength within me that and I think another thing that is this is being in, say, northern New York or western New York State, you got corn, you got soybeans, you got crops, okay? But in the winter, it's cold as heck, okay? The people either have another job, they start a different business, or they fix their equipment. In springtime, things thaw out. You start to plant. You got to watch the crops grow. In the summertime, you cultivate them. You rotary hoe. You do whatever. In the fall, it comes out. So there's seasons. It's a seasonal change, and I think that built up in my mind. It built me up to always expect change.
Oh, wow!
Always look forward.
That's a great point.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so it's always looking forward to the next season. That's why I put a big value on life and a big value on time. And they're very much tied together.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's like I was explaining to somebody, like, now is right now. You've got memories, but that was then. You're not living in then. And your dreams or your aspirations or your goals are in the future. You can make them, but you're not living them. So it's when you get there, you're in the now then, but you were thinking about it now.
That's intense.
I know it, but I think that's kind of what grew me. I think that it was a combination of all the little things, all the hardships, all the whatever and responsibilities, that you knew that it's going to change. And that's why I say time. It's like in the accident in the Marine Corps, yes, very, very badly destroyed. But the thing is, I've got an old saying, I think I say it in the book. It says, sweat dries, blood clots, and broken bones heal. Suck it up. Well, okay, is I knew my third-degree burns would heal. You saw the picture.
Yes.
I knew it would heal over time, but when they pulled that big glob off of there, finally cut it off, it dried into a crusty cover. Well, that is what, and then that crust gets hard, just like a hard. And I snipped it and, soaked it in betadine. Sometimes I'd hit the live muscle and it'd bleed, but the nerves are dead from the third-degree burns. But it kept me busy. It did something. It kept me moving forward. And, in watching that heal over 8 months, and then finally 9 months, they finally did skin grafts to finish the healing process. So it would have taken a year and a half for that to heal.
Yeah.
But by doing skin grafts, it speeds it up. But well, I guess where I'm just coming back is you have to think about it as time. It's just, because every second does what? It turns into minutes. Minutes turn into hours. Hours turn into days, weeks, months. And pretty soon it's like, wow. Because you said, I know you're younger than I am, and we just mentioned that, but yet, how long ago was it you got out of high school? Gosh, wasn't that damn long ago.
1976.
Okay, and I got out in 67. So, but it doesn't seem that long ago. And
No, it doesn't.
It's going on 60 years.
Yeah. There's something else.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. There's
Go ahead.
something else you say about grit and perseverance. You say, and I'm sorry, I'm mixing up. I took notes, so I'm mixing up what pages they came from and everything. But I just highlighted these things. You say that here's the real challenge. Will you have the grit, the perseverance, and the courage to push through the failures? Can you take the lessons hidden in those failures and turn them into stepping stones towards success? Will you set your mind forward, planning for what you'll need along the way, knowing you won't see it all from the start, but trusting that if you give your very best, the rest will come into view when it's time?
Yes, sir.
You're a philosopher.
Yes,
You're a philosopher. You are.
I don't
Well,
know much
unofficial philosopher.
Yeah, unofficial philosopher. I think it's just coming. When I come up with that kind of stuff, it's just the thought of what was it that made it happen. That those little small stepping stones, like you said, it just keeps. Well, when you asked before why or how, that's how. I think it's the why and the how.
Yeah.
It's not the what so much as what it is just continue on. That's why when I get some people, it's a lot of these people get on a podcast, they're 35 years old or 40 years old. Or
Yeah.
maybe they haven't traveled much. Maybe they haven't done much. They haven't really been through hard. They've read a lot. Maybe they've studied a lot. Maybe they've got 3 degrees. I don't know, but they didn't live it. And I've moved between moving, starting companies, uh, uh, multiple, all this other stuff. Probably 40 times I've had to change my life. Some people complain like hell when they got to change their life twice or 3 times. Or what am I going to do? How is it going to happen?
Yeah, yeah. And so between your medical stuff and all the businesses, because you described that in the book too, how you would start up these you're an entrepreneur also, which I
Yes.
think is so commendable. So you've had so many lives. You were a Marine, and then you were a farmer, Marine,
Yes.
and then you went through all these, and then you would start up businesses, and maybe you'd have one of these accidents, and there was even an accident after the 3 accidents, and then there was another car accident later on, when you were in your van.
Yep. That was 2 years ago. This June 8th.
June to 2024. Yeah. So you that was an easy one. That was an easy one for you because you said you would.
That was it. The EMT people said, "You don't seem all upset about it." And all I did was cut my leg pretty good. And I said, "Brother, you don't have a clue what I've been through." And they wanted me to go to the hospital. I said, "Hey, if you'll give me a needle and some thread, I need to stitch it up later. I'll just do it myself." It's like, what's I don't know, John. I can't explain it. It's just like it's not that big a deal because
Yeah.
everything is temporary. It's like you look back it's like if you guys had tough snow. I think you had a couple of heavy snows this year.
Yes, yes.
But yet you can look back at some of the snows you've had over the last 30 years, and it may not be near as bad as the one in 78 or 87 or 92 or 2006 or whatever. That's when it was really bad,
I
It's
remember
like-
back in the 90s, to your point, it was snowing constantly. And there were other times too. So you're right. I always say that we build up a resiliency even just in terms of going out and doing something. The more you stay in, the harder it is to go out and just do something. Even just going to a restaurant or doing a social thing, because I tend to withdraw and become a hermit. The more I do that, the harder it is. Oh no, somebody invited me somewhere. Oh no, how am I going to do that? How am I going to go out? What am I going to say? What am I going to wear? So I force myself to get out there. I say, I just got to get out there. And, it's good for us too to circulate, obviously. But it's like that with everything, I think. And I'm not saying everybody should go out and put a nail through their hand, to give them that experience.
But one thing you're just saying about going out, the media, I blame a lot of it on the media. We never had Snowmageddon. We didn't have all these terms that they come up with that, oh my gosh, this is going to be the worst thing that could possibly happen in the Midwest. It used to happen all the time.
Yeah, it's the 24-hour news cycle has definitely had a major impact on us. For sure.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, we remember we didn't have phones. You basically were stuck. I mean, I remember being in an accident, and you had to walk, if you were able to walk, to a payphone, or your car broke down or something. You had to go to a payphone. But other than that, like you said, we're deluged with so much bad stuff, and it's almost like addictive sometimes to keep looking at it. Oh no. And I say to my wife, just step outside. See what it's like out there. Don't listen to them. Because they say it feels like 40 below. Okay, so let's not go out. Let's hunker down. No, let's go outside and see what it really feels like. So
yeah, no, they've stretched it so much. Everything's a big deal.
Yeah, and it's like that across the spectrum, whether it's political or it's whatever, global warming, the environment, and everything is just so blown out of proportion that it drives people a little crazy. Yeah, you were describing. I want to see if I can find another one of your quotes. The float. Oh yeah, this is one where you said you found yourself floating above your body, looking down at the three doctors working on you. This is after the car accident. I think this is the first car accident.
Right.
What was that like? Can you talk about that? I mean, everybody likes to hear about these near-death experiences, and you do describe a few times hearing voices, like your mother's voice. You heard her talking to you. And I think that's while you were recovering, though. But this one, they were working on you. You actually floated up, and you were looking down on them, and you saw that they were walking away, and they thought you were gone, and
Yes.
You were like, "Come back." I mean, you couldn't verbalize it, but you were saying to yourself,
No.
"Come back," and that's when you were saved. But what was that like? I mean,
It was very violent. In my mind, I don't remember getting to the hospital. I don't remember arriving, so to speak, and being put out and having them work on me. I just remember being above my body. I was like, my back was against the ceiling. Everything was red. Everything was very violent. Everything was, to me, it was very violent, very, very stressful, because I felt like I was alive down in my body, but I wasn't in my body. And they had worked on it, and they were walking away. They were giving up and walking away. And this other gentleman came in, this Dr. Gray, and he had his whites on, navy whites, and he was a oral surgeon. And they probably called him because my jaws have been 32 facial fractures, and my skull was crashed in and whatever. And he asked them, where are you guys going? They said, we're giving up. We can't get in him. He's got no heartbeat. He's got nothing, no blood pressure, no anything. Well, he determined, that's why I say in the book, he determined that, well, he took a scalpel and cut me open, of course, and that's when that blood just like a whale surfacing, just blew up all over, and it went up on him, it covered him, it got on the walls and all this, and I don't remember realizing anything, but I know that if I didn't, something happened pretty soon, I was going to go through the ceiling. It felt like just continue on, like I was going to continue on out. So, but what he determined was that I had drowned. I had punctured lungs on the left and on the right, and I had drowned in my own blood. So the pressure was so great that it crushed the heart. It crushed the heart, and the heart couldn't beat, so it couldn't have any blood pressure. And I was drowning in my own blood, so no breath, no blood pressure, no whatever. So when he released that pressure, I don't remember going in my body. I don't remember returning to it. I just remember being in a coma because I could hear voices. And I remember sticking my tongue up. I mentioned that.
Yes.
Stick my tongue up through the upper part of my mouth, up into my nasal passage, my sinus. And I remember doing it. It's just, but anyhow, it's kind of,
it's unexplainable, really. I feel, because I know what you're saying. You were dead, but you were alive at the same time, because you were actually out of your body, looking down on yourself. And the only explanation we have for that is, we don't have an explanation, but we think it's supernatural. And because I can't think of any other way, because you were actually looking down and seeing yourself there, and that's virtually impossible. So you've definitely been embraced by some kind of light. God has definitely touched you in this way for you to experience all this and to relay all this, the resiliency. That's what I think anyway. By the way, there's a book that I read that was similar. He only had one NDE though, so you had three, but it's called 90 Minutes in Heaven. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but a man got into a car accident, and they actually covered his body, and they said he's gone. They were just waiting for the medical examiner to come, and a pastor said, "Well, I feel like I should go sing to him," and he started singing to the dead body, and the dead body, this person that wrote the book, started singing back, and they said, wait, he's alive. So these miraculous happenings happen every once in a while. They actually made a movie into it, and I think they should make a movie of your life. I mean, I don't know if you have an agent or whatever, but your life story is really something. That it probably warrants a screenplay. If you don't mind me saying, I'm not looking for a stake in it. I'm just saying that it could teach such great lessons.
A lady that read the book when Christy first got finished with it, kind of like the draft. She said she writes screenplays. She said this should be a documentary.
Yeah, I think
something like that. She said because of it's kind of like I mentioned there too. It's like when I told my mom why me after about 2 months in the rehab center, when they came to visit, it wasn't like why me, like what did I do? It was meant why me? I mean, this has happened time after time after time after time, and I'm like going, what is it? I mean, did he pick me out? But my mother used to tell me, Jay, if I could take your pain, I would. And I think that sometimes it's kind of like I've absorbed the injuries for other people, if you will.
Wow.
If you think about it, is that a possibility?
Yes.
Has God put it in me to absorb those injuries and those deaths or those near deaths or those whatever, because he knows there's other people that can't take it and that he won't give me anything more than I can bear. And he knows that I'm going to be stubborn or mad as hell or something, but I'm going to move through it.
I think that's a great explanation. It reminded me also of the book of Job, where, there was a bet between kind of like a wager or something between the devil and God, and just Job just kept getting punished, and he kept holding up, and then he was rewarded at the end. That reminds me of what you've been through. You just keep getting knocked down, and then you just kept getting back up, like Rocky in the movie.
Sometimes I wonder if he should have gotten back up, because Carl Weathers was knocking the hell out of him.
He was certainly bleeding out. It seemed like I think he needed to put his left and right up a little higher. I think that's one of his problems.
Well, they were pretty big people.
Yes.
Sly Stallone isn't very big, so.
That's true. In real life, he's not really that big. Carl Weathers was, I think, pretty significantly big, though. And
Carl Weathers pretty good, and then Dolph Lundgren
played the Russian.
He was a monster compared.
Yes.
And they had to shoot the angles up and shoot the angles down and make it look. But that's another story.
That's a whole other story. But just an aside from two old guys talking about a movie that came out in the 80s.
Hey, there you go.
Has
it been that long? Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? Like you said, it feels like it hasn't gone by. I wanted to ask you about your businesses. Can you tell us about your business ventures?
Well, anyone in particular, or just a bunch of them? I mean,
the printers.
I started.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like when I was younger, I started out with cleaning cars because I was really good in detail. I liked it. And then I hired a few people, and I really would get on their butt about it and detail. And this is the old days when we detailed a car. We took the rear lens off, the light lens off. We took the light bulb out. We cleaned the bulb. We cleaned the reflector underneath. We put the light lens back on. That's detailing a car. And I flipped and sold Corvettes, and of course that turned into Chevelles and Monte Carlos and Grand Prix, and it was whatever. But I did that. I started the trucking company and was an owner-operator along with other people driving for me. And I eventually backed out of that. After they retired me when I was 41 from GTE, because I was a risk. I was in management and doing very, very, very well. Very well. And I was their problem solver because I took over. They would keep calling me. We've got a real big problem here. We got a big problem here. And I figured, I guess, John, a lot of it in me says, what are they going to do? Kill me? I mean, I've already been dead. It's
what's
like,
the worst that can happen? Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen?
Right.
Is they say no, or I can't fix it. But it's already broken. What can I do to fix it? So a lot of it is drawing back from your resilience or the belief that I'm going to make this work. Be stubborn. Be mad as hell. It doesn't matter. I don't believe anything great ever really happens till someone's either mad as hell or on fire with a cause. And from that point, it's like today, I'm going to go out and do it today. And then you wonder, why didn't I do it 5 years ago? It's been bugging me for 5 years.
I was thinking about Edison as you were talking with the light bulb. He kept trying and trying, and he said,
something like 1,000 times, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then he said innovation, something like 98% perspiration and 1% inspiration, something like that.
Well,
invention.
Well, I think he said that or said something close to that, and he also said, I didn't find one way that worked. I found 999 ways it didn't work.
Yes, and if you think about it,
didn't work.
There's a lot of examples like that in life. If you think about like baseball players, if they get 3 out of 10 hits, they're considered a great hitter these days, like a 300 hitter, but they failed 7 times, right? Yep. And even basketball players taking shots or whatever. I mean, if they score 25 points, they missed a lot of shots. They made some. So they went out and did it.
Babe Ruth, Babe Ruth, I'm not much into sports at all, but Babe Ruth, he was still talked a lot about when I was a kid. So Babe Ruth, he was an outfielder, an infielder. He was a pitcher. He was a batter. He did everything, And yet the reason he hit so much is and he struck out more often than anybody else, but he took more swings.
Yeah.
He swung at it. Instead of waiting for the perfect ball, he went ahead and swung.
He was aggressive. Yeah, aggressive.
He was aggressive with it. But I don't. It was something you had just asked a minute ago about. Had my mind going on. Oh gosh darn! You were talking about businesses. But
yes.
But the one thing is. But when they retired me, I thought I'm going to start doing something different. I had enough finances. I had enough saved up. I had enough, they put me out on what they call long-term disabilities, which I had purchased before I went in when I started with the company. So financially, I was not I didn't have to do anything, but I want to do something with my life. God's got me here for a purpose. Let me do it. Let me work at it. And I think when you arrive in heaven, if you arrive at the pearly gates and there's nothing wrong with your body and you're in perfect shape, he's going to say, what did you do for me? Well, I know what I can say. Well, I'm scarred up all over. Inside, outside, all over. And I've never quit trying, Lord. I've never quit trying. But the one company, it didn't start going, that I first started after we did, it just wasn't going the right way. And I just tweaked it a little bit and I picked up more and then we just kept growing because I won't quit.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big secret. I think that's the lot that people, the problem is, and I say this multiple times, it's on the cover of the book, it's always too soon to quit.
Yeah.
Just don't quit. Don't quit. How many great things could have been accomplished by somebody that stopped right before they had the answer?
And I think you say something, at the end of the book, you say, I highlighted this, end is not the end. It means effort never dies. Effort never dies, END. Fail is not failure. It means first attempt in learning. You make these into acronyms. I love this. Fail actually stands for first attempt in learning, because you tried. So you didn't fail. So like this, I'm doing this podcast. If it doesn't get a lot of views initially, but I still did it, it's not a failure. It means that, and I'm gonna say it again, the acronym. Effort never dies. I made the effort at this podcast. I'll apply it. I'm going to apply it right now, folks, on the Lens of Hopefulness show. Fail is not failure. It means first attempt in learning. I'm learning how to be better at the podcast as we are talking, as Jay and I are talking.
Sure.
And he's doing better as a guest, I'm sure, the more he does these. And I know you... I don't know. Do you have your own podcast? You have your own podcast also?
No, sir. I was going to, and I had a gentleman said, you need to be a guest because you are he said, I've talked to a lot of people. This guy, I talked to him a couple of years ago, and he said, about a year ago, I'm sorry, because I've only been doing this about 5 months, 6 months. But I've found out a lot about myself doing these podcasts from questions like you talk, where you said before, you're a philosopher. You should be talking about this. But it's just stuff that I've come up with because I've lived it. Mm-hmm. And I think we got some great speakers, but they read and they assimilate and they make notes and they do it all this, and now they put it into AI and it comes out with a speech or a talk. Wow. And they go out and they do it. Okay, that's good, but they didn't live the damn thing.
Yeah, and I wanted to say also to the our listeners is that normally I always do a pre-interview, everybody out there. And Jay and I had a pre-interview schedule, and I can't remember the reason why it didn't happen. And I just kept looking at Jay's website, and I just kept looking at Jay's book, and I read his bio again. I sent a message. I said, Jay, we don't need a pre-interview. We're going right to the podcast. I said, what am I going to say in the pre-interview? I mean, the guy has been through so much. I don't need him to validate himself. So I mean that. Yeah. I just said, Jay, we're doing the podcast. You can even see on my calendar, we had rescheduled the pre-interview, and I just said, screw that. We're going right to the podcast.
We'll go straight to it.
And we jumped right in today also with our talk. And I wanted to show if I could do this. Let me see if I could pull this off. For those of you on Zoom, let's see if John could do this fancy thing. Can I do this? Can I show that's my, there it is.
Absolutely.
Never quit trying. So folks, neverquittrying.com is the website, and you can contact Jay at neverquittrying.com. That's a really easy one to remember, everybody. neverquittrying.com. So I wanted to point that out to everybody. We'll flip back to us. And there I did my fancy technology.
Well, thank you. So listen, I wanted to mention one more acronym that I didn't get in there. I should have done it. Very easy, because everybody hears the word no all the time. No, I'm not interested, especially in sales or just trying to get somebody to do something. No. Okay. No stands for next opportunity. Real simple. Just next opportunity.
I like these. These are going on a meme. I'm going to take them from your book and put them on a meme and put them on social media. But I will credit your book, which again I want to show to those on YouTube. I'm bringing the book up, The Strength Within You, and I plucked it off of Amazon. And it's an easy. Well, I shouldn't say it's an easy read. It's a easy read in that Jay doesn't use lots of big words and lots of jargon like that makes you dizzy. It's really like very down to earth. But it's a hard read in that I was saying to Jay, I was tearing up from like the pain he had gone through and all these trials and tribulations. But the good part of the story is here he is. He's sitting right across from me in virtual land, and he's talking to me, and he's very intelligent and very articulate. So I think you're a walking miracle. I truly do.
Well,
if I may say something, if I may say that, I don't want to take away his job.
I've got a thing I mentioned at syringomyelia. You saw that in the book, and myomalacia and brown Sicard, and they're very unusual. And but I think I mentioned it that way too. But I just say it out loud is a good thing to do too, I think. And that's when I'm a case study at the Neuro Center at Methodist and Baylor at the Medical Center in Houston, but also at Seton Brain and Spine in Austin. And when they had me there about 10 years ago, they had doctors in from all around the country and all around the world. Actually, there was about 25 or 28 of them. And they would ask questions of the neurosurgeon that's done 19 different surgeries on me over many years. And they said, why do you think he's moving? Why do you think he's able? Because I shouldn't be able to move anything from my shoulders down. Now, my left hand works pretty good. My wrist is fused with bone from my right pelvis and all that stuff. And my arm is all shot up here, but it's still I still make it work. This one, my hand is there's nothing there. It's just dead. I can flip my arm around, but that's all
Wow.
I can do. But they said, why is it? Because I should not be able to do any of this, none of this. Okay, because of this in my neck. And they asked Jim. They said, Dr. Rose, why do you believe that he's able to do it? And he said, well. And he was in the Army. He was a MASH doctor in Vietnam. Saved a
Wow.
lot of people, a lot of lives. And he said, well, number one, he's a Marine and he doesn't know when to quit. And number two, he's just stubborn. He's just a stubborn guy. He's stubborn. I've told him not to get out of bed for 3 days, and I walk in the next day after surgery, and he's walking around the room pushing a chair. Why? Because he can. Is why he does it. But they asked me, and I said, I believe in the power of your mind is so strong, my personal self, that I believe that I can move because I think I can move and I want to move. I will myself to move. And the day that I accept the fact that I can't move anymore or I don't think I can move anymore, I probably won't.
So this mind over matter is the old term.
Mind
for
over
it,
matter.
is
Mind over
for
matter.
real. It's real.
I believe it's for real.
Yeah. Yep.
I
You know,
100%.
And this is another thing I talk about on my podcast. How I was joking about, and I'm not really joking. I would like to share those acronyms. I will as soon as I'm able to talk to somebody. I talk to people. I will say and mention what I saw in this book because it's very simple to the point and makes sense. And I like stuff like that. But there are, to your point earlier, and I don't want to trash people, but there are people that, like you say, are putting stuff out like this, but they haven't lived it. It's more like they learned it from a book, they learned it from a book or they went to school, but they haven't really, they haven't felt the pain of, and they haven't had to go through resilience. Now, more power to them if they're going to make a living from it, but I just can't, totally respect that type of approach. I'll put it that way because I don't want to trash people. Everybody's got.
I don't think you're trashing. I don't mean it in a trashing sense.
Yeah.
Some of them are very good speakers. Some of them are good communicators. They get a point across. That's the idea of what they're doing. I understand that.
Yeah.
But when it comes down, would they be willing to die and put their life on the line for what they're saying? Would they?
Well, no.
Okay, and that's where I'm coming from. I've done it.
And by the way, you were slated to go to Vietnam before that first accident, so you would have been out there in the jungles. That's
well, I did. I made 3 trips. I made 3 trips to Vietnam, but I was in criminal intelligence.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. Okay, I must have skipped over that.
But I know. But I was slated to go to be with Bravo Company 3rd Tanks up on the DMZ,
Okay.
which was a very bad place. And at that point, we were losing 70% of our tanks to RPGs. So the chances of coming home from there alive wasn't the best either.
Yeah, I mean,
But a lot of it's just a view, John. It's your view from what you've been through. I mean, some people that have had a pretty good life, let's just say they got out of school, maybe they went to college, maybe they didn't. They've done this, they've done that. They've never been injured. They've never had a stitch. They've never even cut a fingernail, so to speak, torn one off or whatever. And yet they think they've had a tough life, And then you take somebody else that's really had a tough life. And I'm not saying because there's people that are born into a bad life, but they can get free. And people that don't say that, I say, well, what about Ben Carson? He was raised in the projects by a single mother that worked 3 jobs. And the guy, Ben Carson, I mean, he's the most amazing, separating co-joined babies by the brain, by their heads.
Well, Colin Powell.
womb.
Yeah, Colin Powell also was born in the ghetto.
Powell.
Yeah. So there's lots of stories like that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that brings us full circle to the grit and the perseverance and the resilience that you built and that you chronicled in the book, The Strength Within You. And that's on Amazon, everybody. And I really want to, I thank you for the free-form conversation. I like for them to go this way because it's, differentiates from just the usual Q&A. So I really appreciate you indulging me and jumping topics like that.
No, not a problem. And I think that a lot of it is, one person asked me one time, how much did I think that obstacles played in forming resilience?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an obvious answer. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think the more obstacles you have and the bigger obstacles you have and the more resilience you form. But it's
Right.
how you address it. It's not the obstacle, it's how you handle it.
Mm-hmm.
It's what your choice is. And you and I are both, what we are today, what you and I both are today, we are a product of the choices that we've made throughout our lives, whatever that may be. Good choice, bad choice.
Right.
I've made some bad choices.
Mm-hmm.
I've made some choices that were stupid. I just plain stupid. I don't,
Yeah.
But it's like being. I don't even look at myself as being disabled. I'm differently abled, and I'm crippled up some, but disabilities between your ears. Disabilities between your ears. That's the people that. Why?
Yeah.
So you got to move on with life, but take it for what it is and just move it. Don't care what too many people care what other people think.
Yeah.
And I've never put myself up competitively against when I was in sales and sales management, entrepreneur, whatever. I never compared myself to somebody else. I compared myself to Jay. I compared myself. What can I do? How am I going to respond? How am I going to handle that? What am I going to do? What are my dreams? What are my goals? What are my aspirations? How can I get there? How much is enough?
Mm-hmm.
How much is too much? I mean, that's up for you to decide at the time, depending on other life experiences, whether it's your family or children or, and I've been divorced twice, and my third wife and I've been together 30 years now. So it's like, and we're raising twins that are 8 years old that we adopted and we've had since they were 3 weeks old.
Wow.
So, and I'm 76. So that's it gives you a different perspective on it, and
Yeah.
and people that don't want to spank their kids, oh no, that's violence. Well, I don't know. I got the belt when I was a kid from my dad, not often, but I got it 3 or 4 times. Did I say I hate you? Probably. Did it hurt? Yes. Did I do it again? No. So it gets back to spare the rod, spoil the child. It's like how many kids today, you read how much of this crap food in all these fast food places or the junk you buy in a store is bad for you, but yet parents just keep feeding their kids.
Well, it's my wife was a teacher age. She's retired now, but she said she left when she did because the kids were like, it's the nuts running the nut house. You just can't discipline the kids anymore.
No.
And there's no respect for the teachers, and it's
they blame it on the teachers. They blame it on the teachers.
Oh yes. If you bring a parent in and tell them your kid was doing this or that, they're like, my kid? No. The teacher's fault, So I think we're from a different generation. My mother used a wooden spoon, and she also, when I said a curse, she actually took a bar of soap and raked it across my teeth. And you wouldn't see a mother doing that today, but you never heard that curse word out of my mouth again.
Oh yeah. You used to take a bar of soap and stick it in. Open up.
Yep. That's exactly.
Break it up, and so it wasn't as big a piece. They'd stick it in, and
yes, exactly.
But being raised, say, in a city environment versus a big agricultural environment, it gives you a different concept or perspective as well, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It certainly does. So it's interesting how we formed from, both of us, from the different generations, you in the 40s, me in the 50s, and how things have evolved to where they are today. And, we just do the best we can. And I'm grateful that our sons are hardworking and, came down from my parents and my wife's parents. They were all hardworking. They were all high school equivalency diplomas. You know, they dropped out and had to work. Like I said before, my father was working in the Brooklyn Navy Yard when he was a kid, and then he had to go back and get a high school equivalency diploma later on because they had to, figure out a way to earn some money. So we sound like a couple old guys saying, "Get off my lawn, you rotten kids," but it's not like that. It's not exactly like that.
Hey, in a way.
It is, in a way.
So much of it, John, has been the media and the televisions. Here, this is part of the problem right here.
Oh, absolutely.
Here. Here's part of the problem. Take these things and throw them away.
Yeah, I fall
prey to it. And you know what? If we went back, if the whole world had to go back to party lines with 3 or 4 or 5 people on a party line and a 4-digit phone number, and get rid of all this stuff, get rid of all the fast food crap, get rid of all this stuff, it would be amazing. We'd be healthier. I mean, we were going up in age. Male and female both were going up in age. Now we're going down.
Yeah, I remember we had the one phone with the long cord on it. So if like a friend called you had to walk, try to get away from the rest of the family to get a little privacy.
Sure.
And we answered the phone. People actually answered the phone. I mean, talking about before answering machines, like the phone's ringing. Oh, okay. Hello. We had to talk to somebody and engage with them. Or if somebody came and rang the bell, and it's like you open the door. Hi, what's going on? And today it's like if anybody comes and rings the bell, everybody hides. So,
well, something you just said about ringing the bell, that to me, I think has been a huge change in America, is the fact that we used to know people. It was a community.
Yes.
Farmers were a community. We lived outside 3-4 miles outside a small farm town. Okay, that was a community. But we were all, and then we had little towns all around us with 400 people in it, 300 people in it, 600 people in it. All little towns here or there. But everybody knew everybody. Everybody helped everybody. It was a community effort across the board. And it didn't matter. And maybe it got too far away. Let's say 20 miles is for a number. Okay, well, at that point, they picked up their community. And it was. But today, you don't know the person living above you, behind you, beside you, across the street from you.
Right.
You don't know them, and you don't care about them. And you get to read so much violence, so much this, you don't know if you want to help. And then what kills me is people, if they watch something going down, instead of getting 911, or, well, providing they haven't dissolved the police department, they get out and make a phone call to help somebody. They sit there and take a video on it.
I've seen that. Yeah, it's
ludicrous.
Because they want the clicks. Yeah, they want the attention, the clicks. Yeah, and I agree. When I grew up on the Queens, New York street, we had relatives around us, like families lived in the close proximity, and everybody knew each other. We were out on the streets, and it was very, very different. Well, you know,
it's like Stitz. When I got there and I realized that he'd been cut open, I heard her scream, and I got there. If you had a cell phone today, a lot of people go over and video him on the ground bleeding. Instead of me, as a Marine, run to the sound of fire. I heard the scream and I went to it.
Yeah, you were focused on the mission instead of
focus on the mission. Save your life.
The phone divides your head. It goes into another down another path. Great points, and once again, I would like to appreciate you coming on. And neverquittrying.com, and the book is out on Amazon, and we're going to put that in the links and all that, like we usually do. And Jay Setchell, I really appreciate you joining. Lens of Hopefulness. Hey, everybody, go find the book. Go to the website. And also tell a friend or two about the podcast. Would appreciate that. We could use a few clicks too, Why not? And this is all good stuff.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, John.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
And have a great evening.
You too. Have a good weekend coming up.
Yep. All right. Bye-bye.
This has been Lens of Hopefulness with John Pasadena.
Streaming on all platforms.
Spread the word.